in terms of making it, your song really blew up here after appearing on Goeie Tijden, Slechte Tijden. But in the United States, the attention was at least less. So how do you see this? Why do you think this is? Why do you think the Netherlands has taken to you the way they have, and then maybe the United States hasn't yet?
You know, I don't. You know, it's okay that where it is the way that it is. Okay. You know, I think the Netherlands has a special place for singer-songwriters. I think the singer-songwriter is, you know, it's a favorite style of music for the Dutch. Would you say that that's true? I feel like you've got that TV show,
right?
You know, best singer-songwriter, and you know, I hear about all different singer-songwriters starting here and blowing up. Mm-hmm. So I think the U.S. is a little, you know, it's a little bit more hip hop. You listen to the radio and it's all EDM, hip hop, which is great also. But I think, you know, in the open-mindedness of the Dutch and the way that they embrace singer-songwriters is, I think, you know, one of the reasons why it worked the way it did.
But does it become difficult then when you tour here and you have big sold-out shows and you go back home and you have to play smaller gigs?
No, I think, you know, in that case the glass is half full. Okay. At least I have those shows over here. You know, that's the way that I feel about it. It used to be I didn't have any of those shows. So I'm definitely just grateful for everything that I do have and keep working hard and hopefully catches on in other places.
Well, the next thing you're bringing out is Catch and Release.
Yeah.
Do you know the starting point of the record?
Like when
the moment came where you thought, I have to start working on a new record?
Yeah, I mean, the funny thing about this album was there was no plans to make it. Okay. It really just sort of happened. You know, it was at the end of 2013, I maybe had 4 songs that I had written, which is not enough to make an album. Mm-hmm. And I went to Los Angeles for, I think, 3 weeks. I was living by the beach. It was, you know, January, but it was beautiful. Mm-hmm. Coming from New York, it was it was heaven on earth. And I did co-writings. I probably did 10 or 11 co-writing sessions. So you show up to, you know, someone who lives in LA, they have their own studio. Mm-hmm. You sit down with a stranger you just met that day and you go, let's write a song. And in those 3 weeks, I think I wrote 7 songs for the new album, which then when those 3 weeks were over, I said, well, it's time to make a record. Mm-hmm. We've got the material.
What is it like to write with somebody you don't know?
It depends. It's always different. You know, when it works, it's great, and when it doesn't work, it's like pulling teeth. Mm-hmm. You know, just sitting there trying to pull something out of the air that isn't there.
But what made you feel like you needed to write with someone, or was this just the way it went?
I've you know, learning more about the industry. This is something that a lot of people do. You know, I think Adele, when she was writing, you know, for 21, she did the same trip. She went around. I mean, it was different with different writers than I was working with, but you know, she went to LA and sat with different writers and tried to find, you know, what worked for her. And you hear about a lot of different artists doing the same thing. And so it was my turn.
Was there maybe one song that surprised you in the way it turned out, or a collaboration in terms of songwriting that worked out? And
yeah, you know, it was the last song that was written. Okay. It was an extra day. It wasn't supposed to happen. We just scheduled it last minute with this Swedish guy that lives out there. Goes by the name. His band name is Melpo Mene. Okay. He's a producer, talented guy. And yeah, we weren't necessarily. Yeah, we weren't gonna. I was just gonna be a day off. Mm-hmm. So and that was when we wrote the song "Catch and Release" together, which is the title track of the album. And it was the culmination of everything that I'd gone through in the last year. Stuff happening over here, the 3 weeks of writing in LA. That was sort of the pinnacle of it, and it ended up being the title track of the album.
Okay, so deciding to call the album after that song came at the very end.
Yeah, it was because that was the name of the last song that I wrote, and it ended up really summing up sort of how I was feeling and how all these other songs came about. Sort of catch and release, how we bring people into our lives. Strangers, sometimes they become the most important person to you in the whole world. Sometimes you affect people and then they become strangers again. Sort of catch and release.
But is this perhaps the inevitable flow of life?
Yeah, and this in those short 3 weeks it was obvious because you spend one day, but how you get into a relationship and you spend years together, and then you grow apart, you break up, and then you're strangers again.
Right.
Just and that's catch and release.
Well, on the record, if I go by the titles, I think there are a lot of songs about relationships. Yeah. So was this a big theme throughout the album?
It's autobiographical in a sense. There was in 2012 went through a big breakup.
Okay.
Which, on the bright side, you get a few good songs out of it.
Was this the time when those first four songs?
Yeah, that was the first 4 songs.
Do you remember what the very first was that you wrote?
Yeah, I think it was One Last Time, which is track 5. Track 5 on the album. That was within the last couple weeks of the breakup.
And do you remember what instigated that particular song?
I think it just feeling sad. I was alone and feeling sad. So I sat down at the piano and that was the song that came out.
Okay. And this person, does she know that you wrote songs about her, or?
Yeah, I mean, because before that, she was the one that I would write songs about, But I think we're not really in touch much anymore, but I've shared the stuff that I had written.
So you don't know what she thinks of the songs?
No,
And it's better that way as well.
It's probably better that way.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, there's no bitterness. There's no. It's just that's how it works. Okay. Just, people come into your life and then they leave again.
You mentioned you're releasing the record in all over Europe, Netherlands, Belgium, France, Italy, I believe. So has your site also returned to the US, or are you focusing on predominantly Europe now?
We're focusing on predominantly Europe. We're focusing on where we know it's worked before. Mm-hmm. It's good to branch out, but really you want to strengthen your base, strengthen where people care.
Right.
You don't need to shout from the mountaintops when you've got people down below that will that have already embraced you. It is important to branch out, but it's also important to stay where things are going. Things are going well, and for the people who are going to care.
Okay. And part of this tour is, I believe, the Songbird Sessions with 2 other singer-songwriters.
Yeah.
How did this come about? How did you meet the 2 other ones, Ayers and?
I've never met Jack Savaretti. Okay. I've just heard great things about him, and the other artist is Chris Ayer, who actually is one of my best friends. We used to be roommates in New York. Okay. He moved out to LA, but we still keep in touch and we're good buddies. Okay. So it'll be fun to play with him again.
Okay. Thank you very much for your time.
You're very welcome. Yeah, thank you.